So far in this EGM Ranks series, we've talked about Mario, Sonic, and even Bonk. But what about the other mascot characters trying to make a name for themselves in the early 1990s? What about the games starring Aero the Acro-Bat, Bubsy the Bobcat, and Chester Cheetah? Or, as I like to call them, the ABCs of platforming heroes. What did Electronic Gaming Monthly think of these short-lived franchises? And more importantly, what mascot came out on top? Now, in case you're curious, Electronic Gaming Monthly reviewed a total of 11 games across the Aero, Bubsy, and Chester Cheetah franchises. That includes pretty much everything from all three of those series, though not all of the ports were reviewed. They also missed out on reviewing both 2017's Bubsy, the Woolies Strike Back, and 2019's Bubsy, Paws on Fire. But as somebody who reviewed both of those games, I can assure you that EGM didn't miss a thing. What we're gonna do today is count down the best and worst Aero, Bubsy, and Chester Cheetah games using Electronic Gaming Monthly's own words and scores. There's no editorializing here, we're just gonna focus on what the critics said back when these games first came out. So go and grab yourself a bag of Cheetos and get ready to join the circus, because this is another smart-mouthed episode of EGM Ranks Aero the Acro-Bat, Bubsy the Bobcat, and Chester Cheetah, the ABCs of platforming heroes.
On Super NES and Sega Genesis, fight me!
Alright, we're gonna kick things off with number 11, Bubsy 3D on the PlayStation. No, this is not how you treat a perfectly good mascot. What I'd like to see come of this review is a return to the drawing board for poor Bubsy 3D. Absolutely no texture mapping is used, so the lack of numerous polygons is painfully obvious. Might as well pretend your controller is filled with mud, because that's how Bubsy plays. I fought with the controller the whole time, and my experience was frustrating. The enemies are weak, the worlds are damaging to your eyes, and even the voices, while clear, make you cringe. The rendered cinemas are only half-screen animations, too. What a waste of power. Number 10. Chester Cheetah Wild Wild Quest on Super Nintendo. The first Chester Cheetah didn't exactly set the world on fire, and the second one is just more of the same. If you're a die-hard Chester fan, then this game's for you. Otherwise, just don't expect too much. Number 9. Chester Cheetah Wild Wild Quest on Genesis. Quite frankly, I was surprised that I liked this game as much as I did. Chester has a whole slew of new and amusing animations. Also included are some new moves like Chester's Super Jump. This game gets knocked down a note for poor control, but it's still passable. The levels are challenging enough, but some of them are just too short for me. All in all, a good game with some genuinely funny moments. Number 8. Bubsy and Fractured Furry Tails on the Jaguar. The talking Bobcat is back! Bubsy fans will love this version of the popular character, and this one will prove challenging to even the most hardened veterans of the series. The levels are huge, the graphics are very detailed, and the sound is equally impressive. Non-Bubsy fans probably won't be converted, but those raised on the feline will obviously take to the character. Just one quibble though, the control could be tweaked a bit. Otherwise, it's a fine game. Number 7. Aero the Acro-Bat on the Genesis. Aero is still one spunky bat, even on the Genesis. And is he cute, kiddies? Yes! The absence of the excellent music found on the Super Nintendo version is a drawback, but Aero is still a hit. The levels are huge and challenging. Number 6. Bubsy II on the Game Boy. The talking Bobcat takes his show to the Game Boy platform and does pretty well. It's the usual jump on the enemy and get through the level routine. Even if you've never played him before, this is a good introduction. Number 5, Aero the Acro-Bat 2 on the Genesis. Like the first game, I also like the second installment in the series. Aero the Acro-Bat 2 is one of the coolest video game characters to come along in a while, and his new techniques add to an already great game. The graphics are excellent, and the sound is decent. Probably the best part is just going around the huge levels and just looking for hidden areas. This is a solid game to continue the saga. Number 4, Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool on the Super Nintendo. Chester Cheetah is the funniest game we've reviewed this month. The animations are completely outrageous, especially when Chester grabs his axe guitar. The gameplay is a little sluggish, but all in all, it's a great game with tons of humor, decent bosses, and the coolest cat ever to hit the game screen. Number 3, Bubsy in Claws Encounters of the Furred Kind on the Super Nintendo. Is this the year of the Bobcat? After playing this card, I can truly say this game is terrific. Bubsy's tons of animation really add a humorous side to the game, and the voice before each level is also funny. The level effects are great, with colorful graphics and many hidden areas to find. What more could you ask for? Number 2, Aero the Acro-Bat on the Super Nintendo. Aero is one of the most creative games I've ever seen. The circus type levels are colorful and the game is fun to play, which is how things should be. There's something new on every level and the controls are good. There are a lot of icons to find and places to explore. The game gets very tough early on and takes practice and memorization to advance. If you're looking for a good action cart, you'll like Aero. And finally, at number 1, Zero, the Kamikaze Squirrel on the Genesis. It looks like Aero the Acro-Bat is in for some trouble now. Zero is simply too cool. There's a never-ending array of techniques that you can use to get through the levels, which are huge by the way. The background colors are very vibrant. It seems that companies are learning how to get around the Genesis's color limitation quite nicely. Zero, the Kamikaze Squirrel, is a definite must-have for every action game fan.
I'm Chester Cheetah. I'm just a cool dude in a loose mood. Until I see those Cheetos. Then my cool turns to drool. My style and ease surrender to my urge for the cheese that goes. Crunch. It's not easy being cheesy.
Cheetos brine cheese flavored snacks. It's cheese that goes crunch.
Hey, thanks for watching us break down these classic reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post an episode just like this one almost every week. We've covered Sonic, Mario, Resident Evil, Castlevania, Final Fantasy, Batman, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ridge Racer, Soul Calibur, Tekken, Street Fighter, and dozens more. Seriously, we have so many of these episodes, so go check out the full playlist. Now, here's the question I have for you. Aero the Acro-Bat, Bubsy the Bobcat, or Chester Cheetah? Who's the best? In other news, we'll be back later this week with more reviews, as well as a Nintendo Switch Online Review Crew episode. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.